Hello and welcome back. Welcome back to episode 23 of the worst reselling podcast ever. Hello, Granny. How are you?
I am very, very well. Octo,
hang on,
yourself?
Granny. Before I cut you off, what the hell's that down there?
Hello.
Oh, hello.
No.
I didn't realise we had a guest.
I didn't know.
See
you
me
slipped in there. No, I didn't see them there at all. So this is what you can't trust. But I'll go back to what I was saying, Granny, and I'll pretend to care what you have to tell me about. But how has your week been?
My week's been very, very good. I've had a lot of fun this week. I've actually gone on a couple of American live streams, which was very, very fun. And I have to thank all the boys. So I've been on the Bearded Picker channel on his, he has a bit of a chat at night time about reselling. And then what is the name of that one now? The Reseller, let me find it. I should have already had it up, but the Reseller Locker Room podcast. That's it. With Shane and Biscuit Butt and
Archie Biscuit Butt, Rocky Top.
Yes.
Picker.
Alex, the Beard King Picker.
Yes.
And also Ben, the Rocky Top Picker. They're a lot of fun.
We're going to keep it a secret, but Granny's actually started an in-house fight with the Locker Room podcast. So I don't know what it is, Granny. You're always picking fights with someone. Like, why can't you just be a nice old lady and just go off to the nursing home quietly? So I'm not too sure.
No.
But long story short, I don't know. For our more observant viewers, you may have seen that we've actually got someone down here in the bottom of the screen. There, I don't know, right down there. Look, my tentacles work, Granny. It's good to see. So long story short, we've got Life of a Reseller here. He's on probation at the moment. So what you need to do is you need to put in the comments field below if you want to keep him or bin him. So basically, don't feel obliged. Don't feel obliged. Don't feel sorry for him. Just basically tell him how he sits. So we'll give him a probationary period this week and see how he goes. But
I'll make sure I don't look at the comments of this podcast.
But why he's here, Brenny, is that the CWA, which is the Old Lady Association from Gin, and also Ohio and Texas have reached out and they said that they need someone more aesthetically pleasing on the podcast. And unfortunately, all we had at Crows Range was our serial stalker, Blake. So hopefully
definitely got the wrong person.
Hopefully he feels the need for at least the time being. And like I said, like in the comment section below, we'll find out if he meets the marker for the I suppose the older ladies of the Central West.
Yes.
Hopefully, I'm wearing my best Hawaiian shirt to entertain.
Yes.
Maybe if you, I was going to say, if you're trying to angle the ladies in Texas, maybe you should be wearing a brush popper, not a Hawaiian shirt.
That's true, actually.
Make sure you put that in the comments below. And fix your shirt up. So I don't know. And how are you been, Blake?
I've been good. Yeah, just business as usual. All the stuff, selling stuff, buying stuff, dealing with annoying people. But yeah. Just business as usual over here. Pretty good.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, look, now that you've mentioned annoying people, let me just tell you my little story about my negative feedback. First one ever. Well, no, it's not technically my first one. So my first one was the guy that I bought the car part off that then bought a video off me and told me and said he didn't receive it. Right, but he only did that so he could give me negative feedback. What are you doing, Octo? So
I'm trying to pretend I'm asleep. This is how they work in the kids' code.
Oh dear. So I had a person purchase a nice little skirt off me, right? And I sent them the usual message which says, "Thank you for your purchase, which is ready to be shipped as soon as payment has been received. Should you no longer wish to go ahead with this transaction or need more time to pay or browse my store for additional items, would you let me know? Regards, Leanne." Anyway, she replied back and said, "I'll be paying either tomorrow or Tuesday." Which, that was all fine and well. And then I replied, "Thanks for letting me know." So then the next day she messaged me again and said, "So sorry, I found a better white skirt I need for a cruise, so I'll have to cancel this one. So sorry." And I just replied, "Thanks for letting me know. I was appreciative it didn't have to sit there for 4 days. So I canceled the transaction because she asked me to. Said thank you. That was all good." Lo and behold, I get up this morning and I've got a negative feedback. And the reason for the negative feedback, didn't buy the item. That was her reasoning. So I put in a request for her to revise the feedback, which she's declined, and by saying that reason for declining, the original feedback I left for the seller was accurate. Was it really? So I hopped on the chat bot with eBay this morning and got to talk to a nice fella called Adam, who was very, very helpful. And I asked him how his day was going, and it was all nice and polite at the start. And then I just explained it, gave him the details. And wait, you and
I'm awake.
So the negative feedback is already gone magically because he said yes, that should not have been a negative feedback.
So for the 3% of the audience that are still here and haven't dropped off after Granny's ramble for 5 minutes, it's quite important, Granny, because like we were talking about this before, is that you actually selected the item that the buyer's asked to cancel, and from previous experience from that is it actually blocks out buyers from leaving negative feedback on your account because they can't leave a feedback because they've actually requested that. So by the looks of it, they've actually changed the system so they can leave. So be very, very, very mindful of that because I didn't even stumble across that because a lot of people that I come across, a lot of people, when I'm talking to online as well, is that they default to that if they've got a strange feeling about this customer or all these different things, that they'll just block it saying that the buyer hasn't they've requested to cancel, and it kind of blocks them out from leaving feedback. But that's changed.
Yeah, and the concern, I guess, for me too is that if that's the case, even those buyers that don't pay and you cancel them after 4 days, does that also allow them to then leave you a negative feedback because, I didn't get enough time to pay or, whatever they want to
that's a very good question, Granny. So what I'll do is I'll put Granny's store in the description below. So make sure you buy something off it, leave it for 4 days, and once she does cancel it, leave her negative feedback just to let her see if it does work.
Well, so, when one person actually buys something that they intend to leave there for the 4 days, can you put that in the comments as well so that no one else does the same thing?
That's right. So like I said, I'll put it in the description below. So more than happy to I think she's got about 4,000 items at the store at the moment. Just 4,000 people that we don't have watch this show. Just buy one each and get her excited. And 4 days later, just here with 4,000 negative feedback. We'll just see how we go. It might work after all, Granny.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, big good interesting experiment to run, wouldn't it?
Shut down the whole account.
But you raise a very lengthy argument, but a very good one nonetheless. Like,
well, it's important that the boys and girls know exactly how the whole thing played out.
I would have preferred it being over in 15 seconds, but hey, like each to their own. I'm more of a succinct octopus opposed to not so much Granny, but it's definitely worth keeping on your radar now. And maybe potentially if you're wanting to cancel an item for the buyer, reach out to eBay and ask them what the protections are, because and keep your evidences. Obviously keep the messages that say that the person's reached out to you and all those different things, because you don't want it to come back and bite you on the butt. But what about you, Blake? Have you had any negative experiences in the week other than looking at Granny?
Yes, I was going to mention it. I had one about 2 or 3 days ago. A guy bought a pair of white Dickies shorts that were pre-owned. It said about 3 times that the whole top half of it was discolored and there was marks on it, hence the lower price. I think I sold them for like $20 or something. Anyway, he receives them. He's like, I'm not happy. These have marks all over it. These are not brand new. And I looked back on the thing and I was like, they're pre-owned shorts. They've got stains and marks on them. They're work shorts. I was like, hey, sorry, well, welcome to open a return. La-da-da-da-da. And I was like, I'll just, put a reason as doesn't fit or something like that. It'll be easy. You'll get all your money back. La-da-da-da. They give me an item as not as described because it was, stained when it was meant to be brand new, apparently. And then leave a negative feedback basically saying that I bought a brand new pair of shorts, but they arrived stained and disgusting. So I just hopped straight on the chat and they're like, no. Basically, this guy's an idiot. Just get rid of it straight away.
I guess it's good. Yeah, I guess it's good to know that in those situations, like in those genuine situations where we've done the best that we can do by letting the buyer know, in your case, letting them know exactly what they were buying. And in my case, doing whatever the buyer wanted. It's good to know that you can actually get those things removed, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I've got a little spiel, not a spiel, but saved on my computer, basically just saying it's a pre-populated thing that I've typed out to basically send to customer service in the event that happens. And basically at the end, it just says, please uphold. I'd appreciate it if you could uphold my seller protection as I've done everything I could possibly do to ensure the customer had a positive transaction. And that usually gets them across the line. I had one a couple of weeks ago that like they're like, oh, we can't remove it. It's the buyer's experience. And I was like, what about my seller protection? I don't really see why my account should be punished because they can't read a listing. And they're going, let me look into this for you. I'm pleased to tell you that we've removed the feedback. So you just have a bit of a sook and use the old seller protection thing, and it usually works.
I always start my chat off with, I hope your day's going well.
I do too.
Because like they think you're interested then. And the other thing is I always try and include before they get a chance to answer me anything, I always try and say, I always do my best to provide the buyer with the best experience I can. Like, so you suck it up to them, but generally you'll get a much better response then.
You sea urchins, you suck up. I actually tell the customer service reps where they stand. They'll go say, "Good morning, Octo," and I'll be like, "No, I'm Mr. Octopus to you, and you will remove this negative feedback." And I can guarantee you, it's worked 0% of the time. so just like I do the same thing as Granny and Blake as well, is that I just normally pretend how they are. Ask them a couple of questions about their family, pretend I care, then politely ask them to remove the negative feedback, and as soon as they say it's done, I just close the window without giving them any feedback. Let's be real around here, is that yes, it's nice to be polite to people, but you really don't have time to be fluffing around all these different things. Get in, get out, go on. But I think
most of the time we're a bit mad when we do those chats anyway, because we've got that stupid feedback.
I normally get Dara the Flipper on there because he's quite charismatic when he's angry. So I normally put him on there and he can resolve it for me. So, but somehow actually I have more negatives whenever I get off the off the chat when he does it. But and before I suppose in the last bit in regards to that, and I think I've said this before, is that the negative feedback's not necessarily removed from your account; it's actually hidden. So if you go back to that transaction, you'll actually see if it's previous transactions. If you go like your paid and postage section, or if you search for a transaction, and the buyer's left feedback, will either have like that little green positive button ticked or shaded in. If you actually see that transaction, it'll actually have the negative mark still there. So on eBay's end, it's still come back as a negative transaction. So you'll find. Well, I'll be quite curious to see if that's still the case. But that's pretty much what I found in the previous experience. I've had about I think we're about 8,000 negative transactions now, Granny. Like,
every transaction.
That's right. I'm not content with just pissing Uncle Wayno off. I've gone after eBay people as well now. So, but previously, Granny will confirm in a second, because obviously her computer takes 6.5 hours to do anything.
Oh no, I can't see anything negative. Where will it be?
It's under paid and posted. You have to go to the items.
Oh, yeah. I'm in there. I'm in cancellations.
Not cancellations, under paid and posted.
Oh, okay. Paid and posted.
Anyway, riveting content. So what we're going to talk about today, while Granny's clicking her teeth and her false teeth are falling out, all these different things. So we're actually going to talk about a bit of a follow-on episode from our last one, because Grumpy Granny's been trawling the Facebook pages, and she's told me that people have been talking about the Hayfrosell resell reset. Is that what we called it last week? I can't remember. I think we called it a factory reset, but but we'll just go the factory reset because it rolls off the tentacle a lot better. But like, people are talking about it, and there's a lot of people that's wanting to try it. Granny's in a Facebook group where a lady in there said that she wants to try it, and she's asked questions about how it works and how to do it, all those different things. Like we said last week, Jeff did a fantastic video of explaining it. So by all means, go back to his video, which we got in the description below. But I suppose we'll touch a bit on it this week as well. Is that I've been continuing to use it probably every 4 days, and still seeing that that uptake in sales. And like we said last week, it could be because of Q4's finally rolled in, or it could be different reasons. So I'm still finding, like I said, it had diminishing returns over a period of time, but it's since picked up. So that Q4 traffic might have been working in conjunction with it. What about you, Granny? Has it been going well for you?
Yeah, it has. But as I mentioned earlier, I tried a little slightly different experiment over the weekend, which had interesting results. So instead of ending in sell similar, I tried to start with, at the start of the day, I tried editing every single one of my items, which technically speaking, if you go by the thought that traffic on the site is what helps you get I mean, you putting action in doing stuff on the site is what creates traction and traffic. Then it should have increased impressions and zilch. And I tried that 2 days in a row, zilch. But so anyway, so then halfway through the day, I thought, okay, I'm prepared to research and do the tests for people, but I don't want all my sales to tank. So in the afternoon, what I did was I left all my books as that, and then I ended and sold similar all my other stuff, basically. And everything just once. Look, I did it in 200 increments. Once I got over 700, that is actually when the traffic started to crank up again. Not as high as if I'd done a full reset, but fairly high.
Yeah. So and I'll get to you in a sec, Blake. I'm not trying to cut you out. But do you think that
I'm still here?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. For those listening at home, that we still have him in the section below.
Yeah. I'm just listening in the front row seat.
No, that's right. Do you find that that's a and I think someone in the Facebook group called it a Band-Aid solution. So do you think that, does it still work as well as that it initially did for the first recycle, I suppose the first reset? Or do you find it's diminishing?
Like, I would say it doesn't. Like, even the last full reset I didn't quite get the page views that I got the first couple of times. I'd say 3/4 of what it was doing then. But in saying that, my sales are still increasing. So, whilst I'm not getting as many impressions and page views, I'm still getting a lot more than I would get if I didn't do it, and I'm getting the sales. And I'm getting a lot more organic sales than I am. I shouldn't say. When I say it always seems a lot more, but the reality is I've had 31 organic sales this month and 28 promoted sales. So it's not a lot more, but it feels like a lot more.
Yeah,
compared to usual.
Yeah, and before Blake goes on, because the reason why I keep cutting Blake off is he's actually got a different method to what we're doing. So I want to kind of close off Granny and I's.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yep, sorry.
Just on that. So in October, so this is shut up. In October, stop nodding your head. Before I was doing that, so I got 28 organic sales versus 36 promoted. That was when I started counting it. And then so this month I've had 31 organic versus 28 promoted. So organic sales are definitely up.
Yeah. So before I hand over to Blake, and he can explain how he's screwed his store up. So further to what we were speaking about last week, I spoke to Granny about this last week, is that I've increased my ad rate to 10% across the store, just to see if that's done. So basically I've kind of tried and hit it with a double barrel shotgun, in the sense that doing the factory reset every 4 days, and also the 10% minimum across the board. So I'm just doing a dynamic rate. So that's not a flat 10%. If something sells for 7.7% promoted, I pay that 7.7%. But what Granny was saying is, when you do the reset, the organic traffic is like, what I was finding, like 76, 77%. So that promoted traffic is only 24% for that first 24 to 48 hour period. So, and I've said previously on here and previously to Granny as well, my model is to list it and price it that it gets out that day. So I'm still turning a profit, but I don't want it to sit around for months and months and months and months and months. So if I can pay that 10% promoted fee, which is, yes, I don't recommend, because it's quite a significant amount of money, and it's quite controversial. Josh Galt was talking about promoted fees the other day, and got a bit of a tentacle lashing, but
he did copped a lot of flack, didn't he?
Well, that's right. So we're not going to talk too much about that, because I don't want all the other Joshes after me. But basically, what it is,
apparently it bores people. They don't want to know about that.
Well, that's right. That's exactly right. But that's what I'm just going to leave it. This is that I'm doing a factory reset in conjunction with a seemingly high ad rate, just primarily because the promoted listings isn't as high when you do the factory reset. So, like I was saying, that your organic traffic's about 74 to 80% on your cycle. So like I said, if you're going down that model and you want to sell things quicker, and you potentially what market you're in, your mileage might vary, right? So that's not to say it's going to work for everyone, but I've been trialing that for the last week, and I have been seeing some significant upturn in sales for that. That could be just because it's Q4. So like I said, we haven't got the quantitative data. But but without further ado, we might talk to our favorite mime downstairs, Granny. Like, I haven't seen him. Now, let's look down on him. Like, let's look down on him condescendingly, like other resellers.
We'll just look up it. Yeah, so I well, back to something you said before, I agree that it is a band-aid solution. Like, it shouldn't be like this. Like, as far as I can see, eBay's got a pretty bad visibility issue, is what it's telling me. Pretty much is it, all that kind of thing. But yeah, so I've been doing. I actually got this idea off of YouTuber Primo Chemo, I think his name is. But it's basically I'm just trying it for a week or so.
Is that where you also got the idea to wear her Hawaiian shirt?
No, I just found a Mambo Loud just lying on a rack, so I'm just bragging a little bit, just flexing.
I don't know. I don't know who's got Mambo Louds, but they're pretty cool, I heard.
I'm feeling a bit left out, really.
So you should, basically. We can help.
You can buy this one if you like.
We can help with that, Granny. There we go. Keep going, Blake.
Good on you.
So yeah, basically I've been doing a variation of the reset, but it's been basically for the next 2 weeks. It's the nuclear reset, essentially, is what they call it. It's basically you reset, you end and self-simulate your store every single day, which is very extreme. But I wanted to just test it out to see how it goes. And yeah, so I was doing the normal reset like you guys are. And since I've done the nuclear every day for the last 4 days, it's gone up. My views, everything's gone up. And an additional 26% from what it was just doing the original reset. So even just my impressions alone, my organic impressions are up over 30,000 higher than my promoted impressions.
Yep.
And both lots of impressions are actually about 20,000 above my previous highest amount of impressions per day. And my page views have gone up 52%. As well. So there's a big difference there. I've noticed a big difference in sales as well. Like showed sort of in my last video, I did not plug myself or anything, but that's sort of it kicks things into gear a lot.
The only creature you can plug on this channel is me. Don't let me tell you again.
Yeah, so my question on that is too, because you had your video there last night, which I watched, which was very good. So boys and girls, go and watch Blake's video, his newest one, which shows what he sold on the weekend.
It needs help.
It's not linked in the description below.
So, are you finding, because it's what I'm finding, are you finding some of the older items in your store that were just been sitting there for a while, that a lot of those are selling more than what previously were, which is why what we mean when we talk about the visibility issue.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's pretty even. I'm selling just as many old items as I am sort of newer items. Yeah. So that's what has sort of spoke to me that it is a visibility issue. But the other thing that's telling me that is because the organic impressions are so much higher as well. Similar to what Octo's done, I was promoting at 10, 12%, kind of that higher percent mark. I've actually dipped that down, chopped it in half. So I'm promoting around that 5% mark. I'm actually thinking of going even lower than that because my organic is just completely dwarfing the promoted. And most of my sales, I think yesterday, I've only had 2 sales yesterday that were promoted and the rest were all organic. So there's been a massive uptick in the organic as well.
So out of the 3 sales you had yesterday, 2 were promoted?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But no, there's definitely been an uptick in sales, in views, impressions, everything. There's been a big uptick since I've done it. Obviously, I don't think it's something that we should have to do. And nor do I recommend doing it every day, but it's something I'm trying out and it's been working. Like there's been an increase instead of that initial on the 4th day, you do the reset, it goes right up, then it slowly tapers off each day. Yeah. The line's been more slightly upticking. Yeah. So even though I've been doing it same time every day around 3 p.m, every day that I've done it, the traffic's gone up every day instead of sort of tapering off or leveling out. So I don't expect that to last, but so far it's been really promising in that respect. So,
and I mean, I think for us as resellers too, and that's what you raised a very valid point. We shouldn't have to be doing it because it is that time consuming part out of your day, especially if you've got a reasonable amount of items in your store, that you're having to do that too every day. Like, it's something we shouldn't have to be doing, but it does say that there is a problem with visibility. The fact that the only way we can get, especially those items that have been there, say for more than, I'm going to say even 30 days. I think they're getting, squashed down so that you can't see them.
Yeah, and I suppose that, like, in contrast to what we were saying last week, is because we've done it a few more times, and we're still seeing that positive, recurrence. And eBay hasn't come around and slapped me in the head with their tentacle yet, so that's always a good sign. Is that I would probably caution more that I would promote this style of listing habits, I suppose you would say, that the factory reset, or Hayfrosell, sell similar, reset. Because it's just by virtue of what we've seen, right? So for those, beloved viewers overseas in the UK and America and everywhere else where you hide out, and especially my friends at the Bermuda Triangle, hello. But what it is basically, in Australia, we have, like, I don't know about Granny and Blake, but I've got 250,000 listings at once.
I got the same.
Month, right? So when you do the reset, you actually contribute your store count to that 250,000. So I'm currently floating around 1,300 because I've said before I'm actually trying to downsize my store now, because I think a couple of years ago it was like a bigger store was all the rage. The more lines in the water you had, the more chance of an octopus catching and all these different things. But it's kind of gone the other way now with the shrinking economy. From my perspective, is that you want a lean store, make it like that get in, get out kind of store. But what Granny and what Blake was saying is that doing this is working well. It's providing the targets and all these different things, and you might as well capitalize whilst eBay hasn't caught on, right? Because eBay watches these things, but by all means, like, I'm not saying eBay watches us, but they probably most likely watch Jeff, like Hayfrosell and all these different things, to see what people people have identified as their chink in the armor, right? They're going to fix it up. So you might as well do it whilst you can, get as many sales as you can, make as much money as you can. There's no use sitting, and I will caveat in a second, there's no use sitting around, going on Facebook groups and moaning about, lack of sales and all these different things and listing things, and you haven't sold anything for the best part of a week. Do this every day. Like, I'll probably try Blake's method this afternoon. Yeah, but
me too.
And doing it every day, and just to see from that perspective. But if you have the item count in your store available to you, it's not a negative thing. You're paying for that service. You're paying for those 250,000 listings. You might as well use it. Like the only caveat would be, before Granny cuts me off, is that if you have a replenishable store, do not do it. Don't do it to a replenishable store. You'll destroy your store. And don't delete listings. If you delete listings, blame Granny. Where is she? There she is. Blame
this guy.
That's enough out of you. Don't think I won't reach out and get you. Look out. The fact of the matter is that, like I said, I can't speak for the people overseas, like the UK, that's, and Europe and America and all those different things. So I don't know what your listing count is. And also, if you've got, if you're listing things in dual categories, every time you do it, you'll pay that listing fee. So like 6 cents per listing, whatever it is. For me, it works out to be about $3, every time I do a reset, which. For what I get back in sales, I'm more than happy to forego that. So I'm not too concerned from that respect.
Agreed.
But I suppose I will put the caveat, like for last week, like I will withdraw that caveat. If you do have any questions or you're feeling a bit apprehensive about it, please reach out to me on Instagram and I'll have a chat with you through it. Like, I didn't want every man and their dog last week, deleting items out of their store and destroying things.
So on that point, Grumpy Granny has made a decision, and I said all along that I would not
cross your tentacles.
She's going to make a video.
Cross your tentacles. She might be leaving. She might be leaving the show.
I'm not going to make a tutorial on how to do the store reset, which I'm not. But what I am going to do in my video this afternoon is I am going to show how to end and sell similar, right? So I will show how to do that, but I won't show how to do the whole store reset type thing. That they have to find out for themselves, because, as I said, like, it isn't something that you should take on lightly. So I think if I show you how to do the end and sell similar, you've got enough basic knowledge to then go and watch Hayfrosell and get his information, that you then should be able to do it. I think that's fair compromise.
I suppose we were a bit apprehensive last week because we didn't have enough quantitative data, and and a week's not going to change things in the grand scales of things, right? But I suppose Q4 is coming around. We're seeing a lot of people saying that the sales aren't where they expect them to be, or where all these different things is. And believe it or not, we do care about the community. We want to help the community. And this is our way of doing it, and say, hey, look, it might not necessarily be able to work for everybody, but if you reach out to Granny, or preferably Granny or myself, Yeah, we'll. I'm not going to speak for Blake because look
we'll
at
do our
Blake. He's
best to
only here
try and
for
help you, yeah.
yeah.
I'll
Blake's
help.
only Blake's only here.
Thanks,
Blake's only here for eye candy. So we don't even know how he's going at this stage. But yeah,
no,
like
Blake will help too.
we will assist you, right?
Yeah.
And like I said, that if you've got a replenishable store, which means that you have more than one quantity of an item, you might sell, like plush, octopuses, for example, and have 4,000 of them, and you've already sold 3,000 of them. Don't do that because the sales history is worth more than the factory reset. So you lose that data. It hurts your store more than helps it. So, but I think that's good.
And I will make one point when I do mine. I actually don't end and sell similar on any items that I have offers out on. I actually take them out of the equation so that if the offers do come through, they can't. Like I'm not, because once you end it, that's it. That offer's gone. Even if you said that, because you could have only said an offer out that morning, and then in the afternoon you do your end and sell similar, and that person might want to reply. Well, the item's gone, hasn't it?
Yeah, I give them a chance. They got 13 seconds to respond to my offer before I rescind it. But the thing is, yeah, that's right. But the thing that I do want to notice, and I'll ask Blake and Granny as well, is that I've got certain searches saved on eBay. So basically what happens is when something of that search gets listed, it'll send me a notification that. So previously I would get a notification around about 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. Australian Daylight Savings Time, right? So around about that nighttime period. But in the last couple of days, I've actually been getting that notification at 12 or 1 p.m. in the afternoon. So it's actually shifted to the left. But what I suppose, and the reason the line of questioning again this way before you all go, geez, he's rambling again. I don't particularly care what the octopus has to say. But Hayfrosell
point.
That's right. Well, I'm just doing an old lady thing where I just dribble on for 40 minutes before I get to the point. Yeah. But Hayfrosell says that that you need to get in before the algorithm, Cassini, resets itself to get maximum data out of your for your listings, for your reset, right? So I'm kind of putting forward to you two that when those notifications come out saying that that plush octopus has been listed, there's 6 plush octopus has been listing, I'm taking that as when Cassini's reset. So where it previously used to reset at 6 or 7 o'clock at night, it's potentially resetting at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. When it comes through today, I'll get the time and I'll put it in the description below.
Yeah.
But I'd be quite curious to see what people think of that. So if it's worth doing it before, if you're doing a daily reset like Blake was saying, if it's worth doing it before you get that notification for a saved item search.
Well, because I thought the research was to do it in the afternoon. You got better results after that.
Because what Hayfro was saying is basically that the Cassini algorithm, allegedly, because unless you're throwing people in jail, you don't need alleged in front of it. So basically, what it is that he believes that the Cassini resets at a certain period of the day. So you're betting to have your listings or your factory reset or your similar or whatever you bloody want to call it done before that does, because once it resets through the algorithm and pushes your listings further. Well, that's my understanding what he says. By all means, Jeff, if I've misread it, please reach out and let me know. But to me, that I'm drawing correlation between that, that notification saying the safe search, these are the items that have been listing, is a refresh of that algorithm.
Yeah. Look, that could be possibly so, because I don't see much traffic before I'm going to say, look, I would have said midday-ish, regardless, because I noticed that because you're getting the chances to send offers to people, and in the mornings there's not a lot, and then all of a sudden then there's an uptake of offers.
So well, that's exactly right. So what I'll put out there, and this is I'm going to take it as the octopus's method because no one else has said it to my understanding. So you heard it here first. So please get us to 460,000 views, and break Blake's curse of whenever he comes on, he always gives us negative views for some reason.
People don't like me.
Please, if you want to participate in this experiment, just search for something random, like maybe PlayStation 3 games or something that gets listed on a fairly regular basis. Don't list graveyard flowers or something that get listed every blue moon. And actually see when that notification comes through. I'd be quite curious if it comes through the same time for everyone, or it comes through on a transitional thing. Because, like I was saying, is that the product that I search for is quite very selected, right? So about 4 or 5 items get listed a day. I used to get that message about 6 or 7 o'clock at night. Now I've been getting about 12 to 1 p.m. So
Right.
I'm quite curious to see if they're actually, shifting the algorithm, because to me that's actually something triggering to send that message out. So the Octopus believes that could be Cassini, or it could be the algorithm or the servers or whatever you bloody want to call it, could be resetting at that time. So
yeah. So I've been doing my reset sort of more in line, not so much with the algorithm per se, but more in line with the buyer behavior. So over my time sort of selling on eBay, like the most popular times is sort of 4, 5 p.m. onwards. And I sort of figure that that's because a lot of people are off of work. They're starting to sort of shop around and do what they want to do in the evening. So that's why I've been doing the reset around 3 to 4 p.m. because then it's a new listing when people knock off work or whatever. The promotions kicked in for those listings that do get found through promoted. And like I've sort of just done it to gear towards it being a new listing for when the buyers are on the platform looking to buy stuff. So that's sort of what I've done. And I've found a decent success. So I reset at about 3:30 yesterday. And by 9:30, 10 o'clock, I'd already sent out 82 offers for the day. And I don't have a massive store. Like I'm sitting around 1,000 items at the moment. My store's actually sort of shrinking each day, which is good. But I did an incognito search, and that new browser, all that sort of stuff for just a very generic search, because I've got a lot of Dickies shorts, for example. So I just searched Dickies shorts, and nearly every listing I found was my listing, and it all had that new listing tag next to it as well, and they were all up towards the top. So that's sort of what that's obviously going to happen because it's a new listing, of course. But I've sort of geared it towards that being the case for when a lot of people are shopping. I've geared everything towards being there, the fresh listing by the time that people are wanting to buy stuff. So
that's right. And
and
I think it was the same thing as what I was showing Grumpy Granny the other day, was that, there's a certain product that I sell, and, when I was scrolling down, it was pretty much my listing after my listing after my listing. So that's something that does work. But, I agree with Blake, but I would put in the caveat is that, if you're trying to get that, after work traffic, it normally takes, if you give, 15 to 20 minutes to get it through the system. So obviously if you do sell similar, by the time it refreshes through the system and all those different things, it's probably about 10 to 15 minutes. So if you've got that's right. Like if you want to, like Blake was doing, if you want to get that, that after work traffic per se, or and likewise, it depends where your audience is. If you're targeting the UK, or if you're targeting the Americans, there's no use selling it, relisting it at 4 o'clock if it's 3 o'clock in the morning over there or something like that. So just be mindful of the time differences if you're doing that. But give it 15 or 20 minutes before the peak period. But I suppose that if you're going to do the 4 daily cycle, you'd probably be better off doing it either probably Sunday afternoon, I dare say, just to get that Sunday evening traffic that normally happens.
I would also say to people that if you're only going to do a partial store reset, so if you're someone that doesn't want to reset your whole store every time, so say you might decide to do, say, 1/3 of your store this day, and then in 4 days you'll do another third and then another third, or you might do a third today, a third tomorrow, and a third the next day. I'm going to say my experience has been, and that has been roughly since the 28th of October until now. So the first the first 2 I did first 8 days. So I did the full complete reset. And then after that, I experimented with doing the partial at different levels. And I really do think if you're going to do a partial, you have to do at least 700 listings. You have to reset at least 700 for it to have, because I used to do it in blocks. So I would end and relist 200 and I'd leave them sit there for a while so I could wait and see what was going to happen. And you don't start gaining a lot of traction until you start ending and relisting, like when it's over that 700 figure.
I suppose, Granny, is in that respect, right? Like if you had to say, maybe the law of averages, right? Just say someone that's watching us now, God help them if they are, they might have 100 listings in their store. I'd probably recommend, if that's the case, probably go down Blake's method if you've got 100 listings in there, just because you want to get to the top as what you can, and that having that short amount of listings is that, unless they're they're really high demand listings like Apple iPhones and you got a very high sell through rate. Yeah, or a multi-quantity listing store like what we spoke about previously, is that I think that doing Blake's method of every day would give you much more bang for a buck, because like, it's well and good for us to say we've got like Blake's got 1,000 listings, you've got 1,000 listings, I've got 3 listings or whatever it is, because I deleted the rest of them doing my sell similar. But the thing is, the fact of the matter is that I think it's a bit big ask for people to say, hey, look, reset 700 and all those different things. But by all means, if you do have the bigger store, and a lot of our audience may have the bigger stores, but if you, what would you say, Granny, like happy medium would be 500. If you're under 500, you do it a day, or But
I would, because because if you've got under 500, that's only, well, if you had 500, that's two blocks of 200 plus one partial block of that amount. So that's all you would have to do. So that and once you've done it a few times, you should be able to do that in a fairly quick time.
And one thing I want to say too is, like, don't think that it's a shortcut for having like crap titles or bad photos or something like that, because it's not. It's not an excuse for that. It's basically just helping with your visibility. But if you got a crap title and crap photos, you're still not going to get your item sold or found. So it's not an excuse. It's not a shortcut.
And so what I do with that too is, which I have neglected to ever mention. So when I'm doing mine, if I actually, once I get them into the bulk editing tool, if I actually scroll down, I do a quick scroll down and I have a look, because if there's any in there that have got really bad photos, or I can see that maybe they're in the wrong category, or there's something really obviously wrong with that listing, I actually take it out and save it as a draft. And then, so I remove it from what I'm doing. I remove it from the end and sell similar. Then when I go back to the ended items, I actually save that one as a draft and put it in my drafts, and then I can go and fix it up later.
Okay. So I agree with what Granny's saying, and that's all right. Let's not beat around the bush. That's pretty advanced, considering that we're worried about people like losing items, like all these different things. So
it is
110% what Granny's saying, and what Blake was saying as well, right? Like, if your photos are crap and if your titles are crap, you're not going to sell your stuff, right? The fact of the matter is, like, I would still go through with the sell similar, like block it off, do all those different things. But what Granny was saying, write down what the listing number was, or some identifying feature. Then once you've done the reset and you confirm that it's worked, end the item, then save it back to your draft, or even just action the item then if you got the chance. But you do want to identify that item very quickly, because we're not saying that everyone needs to be masters of titles or photos and all these different things, like running around photographers. But the fact of the matter is, if you're trying to sell that shirt behind me, and your photo's this, like a big fat octopus head in the front of it, you're never going to sell it, because people don't know what it is. Like,
where your head is right now, don't move. Where your head is right now, like, so as it is there, there's not a lot of light getting to it. So in the photos, it would look really, really dark. Whereas if you move your head that way, go that way, other way. Oh. Stop being a pain. Go that way. Yeah, see, all of a sudden there was a section, come back, where the light came up and it showed it in its really good light. And so that's what you want to get. You want to get it to look as realistic as possible.
Well, that's right. Well, I don't want to have a photo, with this handsome mug on the photo, because people might think they're buying me, and I'm not.
You'll accidentally sell it for double.
Yeah.
Well, either that, or I might get an iPad. They might be thinking they're buying a world-dominating handsome octopus. Like, the last thing I want to do is deal with an irate, eBay customer. I've got enough people chasing me around as it is, let alone eBay people. But like I was saying, Granny's 110% correct, right? Like, your photo, and Blake said it as well, sorry. If your photos are crap, your listings are crap, you're not going to sell your stuff. You need to do those, and you need to action those items sooner rather than later. But I would caveat Granny's thing is the sense of saying, unless you know exactly what you're doing, because like last week, we were quite concerned that people were going to delete their listings. Now we're treating them like they're rocket scientists.
Yeah, I just made it even harder, didn't I? Yeah.
Yes.
So don't overcomplicate it.
That's right. Don't overcomplicate it. Like,
but in some way, shape, or form, you need to fix those listings.
That's exactly right. Like, it might be a case of going through your listings first before you do your sell similar thing.
Yeah. So I've got two other things I want to say about this, and one.
She's going again, Blake.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah,
yeah,
I
once
am.
you
No,
finish.
well, the first one's short. Hey, Blake, you stop your right, and you stop your right too, Octo. So the first thing I want to say is that all of this, and as much as it's driving traffic, doesn't mean that you shouldn't still be listing new things.
Yep, definitely.
Agreed? Yeah.
100%. Well, that's in line with something I did about 5 or 6 months ago. I did the test for
I
about
haven't
a month
listed
to
anything
see
in
if
5 and 6 months.
see if you could get away without it, and I was ending and selling similar 200 items a day for a month, and it made bugger all the difference. Like, you still got to put new stuff in, stuff that people want to buy. So
And you will, like what Granny was saying as well. What we said last week is that you'll eventually sell it out of your good stuff, and you'll be only left with the crap or the undesirable stuff or the slow sell-through rate stuff. So, and that could possibly be the reason behind us, not seeing seeing the diminishing returns over a period of time. And what Granny was saying, and what Blake was saying as well, is that you want to start punching extra stuff in your store to make it more appealing, I suppose. But enough about me, Granny. What were you saying? Sorry.
Right. So my second thing is, like, in all honesty, it is unfortunate that we have to do this, but like, don't you honestly think eBay should actually be wanting us to sell stuff? You would think that if there's an issue that's causing us to have such lackluster sales without doing this reset, like, they would be aware of it by now, because we know that they do watch some of the larger YouTubers that are in the reselling space. So you'd wonder, why wouldn't they want to fix this problem? That's what I want to know.
But and I suppose, the octopus's conspiracy theory, because Blake doesn't talk, he's only there for eye candy, so no one's here for him. I wonder if they're trying to push people onto promoted listings, kind of make it like a fake movement to do that way. That's my 3-sentence answer. Blake, fill in the next 45 minutes for what we're going to talk about, mate.
Can I just respond to that first? And that could be because people's initial thought when their listings are down, when their sales are down, is to increase their promotions, isn't it? That's what you initially think to do.
Push it up, push it up, push it up.
Yeah, right, exactly. I think it is baited. They are sort of baiting into it, but I think it's also that, like, they don't really know where to start to fix their own stuff, to be honest. Like, they've added all this new stuff, completely overcomplicated it, so that's why it's probably a lot harder than it used to be to sell on the platform. But I mean, evolution and innovation's great, but don't let it get away from you, sort of thing. That I do think that they are going to obviously push promoted listings because they're going to make more money from it. Like, it's pretty straightforward.
And I think, I think you're right, mate. Like, because this is probably going to be a bit of a Josh Galt loving episode, but when I was watching John flipping out Easy a couple of weeks ago, he was basically saying that his understanding of back end systems is that the eBay framework is so outdated and falling apart from the seams, and when they add all these different things into it, something else falls out. Fixing it's like putting a new motor in like a 40-year-old car that's falling apart and rusted. Something's going to go wrong.
Yeah, and I also, like, there's a lot of talk in the community at the moment about people's stores or people's accounts are split into different groups, so A, B, C, right? And on this day, your spigot or your tap's open and you'll get all the traffic, or you'll get all this sort of type of traffic, and then the next day you mightn't get any sales at all, hardly any, because we've turned it half off, and then we'll give it to B, etc. And one of the reasons I think that is partially true, I don't know about them opening the spigot, closing the spigot, as they call a tap, but I there, as you know, had a broken advanced what was it, an advertising dashboard. I couldn't get into it at all, and then prior to that, I'd had that problem where I couldn't actually do anything with any of my ended listings. I mean, that's going back a little while, but I think there were other people, but not that we knew personally, but I did later on hear from other people that had the same problem. So I think, they, in an effort to test things and try and fix things, they have divided us up into groups, and they fix this or change this on this group, which is why someone will have a problem with it and someone else won't.
And before Blake opens his mouth and fills us full of his insight, like he normally does every 3.5 hours, is that
I'm allowed to talk.
I was going to say,
Picking on
Blake, yeah.
Blake. Poor
I know.
Blake.
Well, he's like a punching bag. And, in the comment section below, if you do want to keep Blake, let us know if you want to get rid of Granny, because, her stories go for 4 hours. But the thing is, the fact of the matter is, no, and I think, and the reason why I interjected before Blake said anything, because I didn't want to lose my train of thought, is that, just theoretically, we'll give credence to that ABC system. If we do the Hayfro resells format, I wonder if it actually pushes us outside that ABC system and just pushes us kind of to like a system where you're always on, opposed to being categorized into an ABC or category. So like that may be
There's a thought.
These things aren't going to be forever, right? Like Blake was saying earlier, the very profound thing he said earlier, which I can't remember because I wasn't listening. But the fact of the matter is
too profound.
Well, I was trying to get you to the old ladies to have you stay, but you're not selling yourself too well, mate. You need to show some more chest there. But the thing is, though, that like the factory reset, what we call it, because it's just easier to roll off the tentacle, is that it may push you outside the confines of that ABC system if that's what they're doing. Like I said, we don't have enough data. We're only throwing things against the wall. But like I've said previously, and Granny said previously, and Blake's about to say it because I'll make him say it, is that if you got things at your disposal, try it and see if it works. Because it really comes down to your ability to to follow simple instructions and hopefully without deleting items like someone else.
I promise I will make how to end and sell similar very simple, like I usually do.
Yeah.
Ignore what I said earlier about fixing your listings.
They're painfully simple. They're painfully simple. But the fact of the matter is that the reset may push you outside the confines of that, because I do think there's some credibility into that. I don't necessarily think it's ABC. It could be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or it could be any number of systems or any different categories that fall into it. It might be certain categories that get turned on and off and all these different things. But I was watching a video this morning, and I can't remember who was watching it, but there's no chance they're going to be watching this show, so it's not going to hurt their feelings. Where they're basically saying that eBay's not, and I think it might have been Hayfro resells actually. So basically, what it was saying is that the buyers aren't being shown what they're being asked to. They put in what they're looking for, and eBay shows them everything. But I was looking something this morning, like a genuine Sony PlayStation 4, charging dock, and it was showing me all these knockoff ones from China, which there's nothing wrong with that if you're looking for it. But when I type in the words genuine and Sony, I expect that product to come up, not all the crap, regardless if it's sponsored or not. But like Granny was saying, is that if they're using that method of putting resellers into a bucket 1, 2, or 3, the factory reset or the sell similar reset might push us out of that, or push us into the bucket where it's actually being turned on to at the moment. So there's all these different things.
I'm quite a believer in the fact that search is broken big time, because I did a few experiments about it. But in saying that, one of the things that everyone needs to be aware of, before when people searched, it was what was in your title that mattered. Now it's picking up what's in your title, what's in your item specifics, and also what's in your description. So that's something to be aware of, because that will count in what turns up for the person the other end.
Before Blake talks again, because obviously he's priming and chomping at the bit. But I did some sneaky research of why Blake's items are selling so good, and he's actually photographs his items in front of him with his shirt off for some reason. I don't know if that's working, but I was wondering why like a lot of the older ladies were buying his Dickie shorts for some reason. But no, I think we've cracked onto it now, Blake. What do you think of that? What's your answer to that?
Yeah, well, I think with the Dickies, I think that they're thinking they're getting something other than shorts. But unfortunately not. That's probably why I got 9 ad the other day. That's probably a disgruntled old lady. But hey. I don't know, like, not you.
Okay. Good.
I hope not anyway. I don't know, like, I might be going against the grain a bit, but I don't know that it's a fact or that it is a thing that they put us into different buckets. I don't know if that's the case. I think that eBay just wants to show off the newest, latest, and greatest items, and I think that's why the reset does work. Like, because it's the newest, freshest thing in there. Like, it's, they want to give buyers the opportunity to buy that first, rather than something that's been sitting on the platform for God knows how long. So I don't know that it's necessarily that they're putting us into buckets, because I've spoken to a lot of people.
We've solved that issue. Sorry, no, keep going, Blake. No, I think you're right. Like we don't silence people with different opinions here.
Yeah. But that was more.
That's appreciated.
I think I thought about that more because I had a problem with my platform that other people didn't, and that's why I was thinking maybe. If we were all in the same bucket, if someone's advertising dashboard was broken, everybody's would be.
I get what you mean. I don't know. Like it could be just down to some back end glitch or something like that for that kind of thing.
Because when I heard about the buckets, right, I was like Blake, right? Like, I don't necessarily think Blake's right, or I don't necessarily think he's wrong. But I think from what I've seen across the board, like I suppose I've seen a lot more information and a lot more evidence that supports the bucket system per se. But Blake's right. Like, like eBay will promote the newly listed items with the little tag and all those different things. It might be just like you might be selling crap items. So,
I don't necessarily disagree. Like with what you're saying, like I don't think that it's not a possibility or anything like that. But I also think that and I'll probably get blasted for it. But I also think
I'm used to being blasted.
Not something controversial. No,
I know. God, yes, silence me now. No, I think that we all give ourselves more credit than we should for the quality of the items in our store. Like I think we all think that our items are better than they are. So I don't think that all the fault is on eBay. I think that a lot of us have just listed a lot of crap, and I'll be the first to say that I've listed a lot of crap. But part of the reason for my uptick in sales, I'm not going to put it all down to end and sell similar every single day. I think it's because I've been a hell of a lot more selective with my sources, suppliers, with different stuff that I'm getting and putting into my store. So that's naturally going to see an uptick in stuff. Like, for instance, like the last couple of days, I've put 80 or 60 great condition, Ralph Lauren stuff in there, which is a relatively high in demand product. So of course, there's going to be an uptick in those sales because I've put those good items into my store. So I'm not just going to sit here and say that yes, it's your whole life's going to depend on if you do a reset and that. Like I still think that everything comes down to listing properly and listing good stuff. So, and if you do list good stuff, then it's going to sell. Like
agree.
I don't think like eBay's definitely got a search problem and they've got a visibility issue. And I think that the reset's definitely helping with that. But I don't think that anything's going to be able to, compensate for still having good quality items. Because if people don't want to buy the thing that you're selling, it doesn't matter if it's visible in front of them 24/7. They're still not going to buy it. So, I don't know. I think that like everyone gets a bit carried away as well with just, this is the reason for this happening or this is the reason for that happening. And I think there's a lot of speculation going on, which I don't necessarily agree or disagree with. I agree with a lot of it, but I think that we tend to all get carried away and taken away from the basics, I think, as well. So
I agree with you there. Yeah. So because I actually got asked as a comment on one of my videos last night, because I did make the comment in one of them that personally, in my opinion, I believe listing every day, the algorithm likes it. And they asked me, why did I think the algorithm liked it? And, I explain it like listing every day, I think is good. It's adding new items in your store. And if you are listing more quality items because you've learnt more and you know more and you're buying better items, so therefore you're listing better items, that can only be good for your store, can't it?
Yeah, for sure.
No, I think I agree with what Blake's saying that, that.
Hey, what about what I'm saying?
Oh, no, I don't care about what you're saying. I've got to charm up. I've got to suck up the Blake in case the old ladies want him instead of you.
Oh, I'm going to release the video where you say that you like me, and I'm going to put it just in a single short.
Well, I'll have to make sure I take appropriate measures to silence you. So I think the fact of the matter, what Blake was saying is that, and this is something I've been thinking the last couple of weeks as well, is that a lot of you humans cling to superstition. So when things don't really go one way, you don't do all these different things. Like what Blake was saying, you don't go back to the root cause, and that's exactly right. But you don't go back to what the root cause could possibly be. Like, there's microeconomics, there's macroeconomics, there's environmental factors. There's Christmas seasons. There's all these different things going on in the background. My sales are slow. Well, interest rates just were put up might have been yesterday, all these different things. So obviously people are a bit more tight with their money and all these different things. And like I said, I'm guilty of it as well. Being hanging around Grumpy Granny too long, and her nennerisms are carried across. But like Blake was saying, and Liam was saying as well, is that you want to go back and make sure that your item's the best it can be. If it is crap, throw it out. There's no use, redirecting traffic to that item if it's never going to sell. Like if there isn't an allocation for every account to have a certain amount of traffic or a certain amount of sales a day. There's there's that mindset out there as well. Is that don't waste that traffic or that impression on something that's never going to sell because you've got horrible photos, horrible title, or it's just not in demand. It could be the Beanie Babies, and Funko Pops are probably going that way as well. So,
and look, if someone has got a lot of that stuff and they're really worried about not getting any money for it because they really need to sell it, look, bundle it all up. You can bundle several items together and create a bundle, but at least you're going to get your money back then.
That's right.
That's right.
And it might be because I'm a negative Nancy or whatever, but like for me, and I think it's actually made me a much better reseller, is one thing I've always done is if something's not going my way or I'm not getting the traffic that I want to get, I don't point the finger straight at eBay. I do if I get negative feedback. But apart from that, like I don't point the finger at eBay or the customers or anything like that. I point it straight back at myself and think, okay, what can I do or what did I do to cause this, and what can I do to fix it? And I think that's made me much better, like just even for things like photo quality, title structure, different stuff like that, whether it is promoter listings or, quality of items I'm putting in my store. The first thing I do is look at what I can do. And then that's when I start looking at other things. Like if I've still got those issues after I've done everything that I know that I could do, then I'll start looking at how I can, do things like the reset or whatever to help me out a little bit. But it all starts with me as far as I'm concerned and what I can do to change things.
Yeah, I agree. Because, I mean, look, you got your INAD, but, I mean, that was one that was a fair dinkum one that you could get removed. Like, it wasn't, I mean, it wasn't a fair dinkum INAD. It was a fair dinkum bad one. But, I mean, if you were, if you were someone that was continually getting INADs, like, even if it was one a week or two a week, you were getting INADs, like, you would surely you would have to stop and look at yourself and say, why am I getting these INADs? If you are continually getting people getting, so with jeans, for example, and you do the measurements, if you are continually getting returns because these don't fit, you have to look at the way you're listing your jeans and the way you're doing your measurements and wondering, well, what am I doing wrong that I'm getting all these returns? Because I get very few returns on my jeans.
Yeah.
Because they don't
so
fit.
do I. Yeah, like people, like especially in the clothing category, it's a very high return category, and I'll still get returns. But I do whatever I can almost to make my item look a lot worse than it is. Like I make it look accurate, but I show all the flaws. I show anything that's wrong with it. I show every measurement I possibly can, or that I think is matters. And then you're protected by eBay. You've got a leg to stand on with different things. But if you've got a high INAD rate or a high defect rate, like my defects are sitting at 0%. But like if you've got a high defect rate, as far as I'm concerned, that's on you for the most part. Like you're going to get a crappy
Granny's a high defect rate, but no, I do agree with what you're saying.
I take medication for that though.
I do agree with what Blake was saying. Make your item look worse than it is, because like that suggestion that you said take a photo of it when it's in the washing machine was the best ever. Like the amount of things I've sold with just like the water washing around and the clothes are being not visible in any capacity. It's really worked wonders for me.
Well, I got a feedback the other day, and like this buyer, they were good. They messaged me and asked questions and They've said actually really happy with the item. They look much better than the picture and descriptions. Very happy with the seller. You've made my day. A+ seller. Like that sort of stuff. Like that's telling me that, okay, I'm not, making everything look crap, but like my listings still look good as far as I'm concerned. But I show anything that's possibly could be, like if I think that something could be wrong with it, then I'm going to say it. Like, I think everything.
I think if Blake does stay here, Granny, if the old people in Ohio and Jin does vote to keep Blake in and someone votes to keep Granny in by some miracle as well, is that maybe we should create Blake's new Fig Jam segment.
Well, yeah, that would be. Yeah,
Well, that's right.
good.
He could just read through his feedback and tell everyone how good he is. But for those with health conditions, don't Google fig jam.
God. Nah, I'm not saying I'm God's gift to reselling, or I'm gonna.
Well, that's already been taken.
Cult leader
that's
or
me.
something like that.
That's me.
True.
Get your own.
But,
that's me.
But you're right, though. But it gives you such a buzz when you get a feedback like that, though, doesn't it? Because the person's gotten something and they're loving it, and it's to them it looks better than what they thought it was going to be, and that gives you a really good feeling. I think it's great.
I'd much rather that than the opposite. Like the opposite, something I expected much more. Like it's like you just got to show it accurately. Show your items accurately. Be honest. People will still buy it.
Yeah, and that's right, Blake. And we've already spoken about this before. If people do reach out and tell you that, you know where they live, rock up with a baseball bat, and you'll never get that feedback again.
You might never sell an item again either.
Oh, hey, well, they won't be buying an item either, so win-win.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah. You'll be not prison to profit, you'll be profit to prison instead.
Hey, who says anything about making profit?
True.
What do you think we're here?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, just pretend you are and put it on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Now, something else I want to talk about today very briefly is when you are doing your listings, make sure whatever you put in your title, copy and paste that into your description. Don't have your description just saying things like combined post.
That's me.
30-day free returns. You need to. Well, now that the search is actually searching that, you need to have something in there about your item. So if nothing else, put that in there, right? I mean, I think once the AI tool comes out and it starts creating descriptions, which I had to play with it on my phone the other day, people are going to finish up with long-winded descriptions they don't need. But if nothing else, as I said, paste your title. Now, the other thing I want... Here. This is a separate subject. So just be aware, if you're selling internationally, just be aware. This is a good story. I like this. Just be aware that if you are selling internationally, that things can get lost in translation, right? So, and that's just between us and, say, America, which we all speak English, but two different versions. Octo, listen. So one of your favourite people, Ken,
my beloved SSK promo.
Yeah, he was on the podcast and they were talking about finding stuff at the bins over there, right? So I asked the question like, so do you ever find one of your personal item, like a grail that's a personal item, in the bins? And I was actually meaning something that you wanted for your own self, like something you wanted to keep for yourself.
That's how he answered.
That's not how he answered at all.
No, but that's what you misconstrued his answer. Like,
no, I did.
I'm saying, but no, what you're not understanding what I'm saying. That was his grail.
Mediator Blake is about to activate. Wait, break it up.
Yeah.
No. We can't repeat it here because SSK promo after dark's a bit raunchy. So
yes. He thought I was alluding to some other type of personal items that you might occasionally find apparently in the bins. Personal
Lucky
items. So just be aware when you're putting things in your description titles that things can get lost in translation.
I'm having a vibrating attack. I'm having a vibrating attack.
Oh my God.
What's wrong, Grumpy Granny? You got a bit red.
Nothing.
Anyway, on that note, before we get booted off YouTube forever, Blake, do you have anything to say to the lovely ladies of Ohio and Gin to cement your place as a potential third person? No? Just put on
Please
the
don't kick me off. Please don't kick me off. I need the company. I don't have any reseller friends, so I need to hang on to what I've got. So let me stay, please. Nah. I don't know if I'm the eye candy you're after, but I'll do my best.
Like I said, eye candy / stalker. We'll do what we can. But like I said, put in the comment section below. If you want, Life of Reseller to stay on as a permanent fixture. Grumpy Granny, unfortunately, she's cemented to that chair, so I don't think she's going anywhere.
I'm not going anywhere. No. I'm not going anywhere.
my futile attempts of blocking her and not sending her the StreamYard link, and she still finds how to get on this show. So yeah, she's quite. She loves.
And I'm going to say hello to Jenna.
Who's Jenna?
Jenna, she's John's wife.
No, we have to explain that. You could be just talking to your friend next door. I don't know.
It
could be the lunch lady next door. You yell out to.
Well, one of your little favourites, John, that works with Josh.
Oh, I didn't know which John we're talking about. I thought we were talking about the guy off Play School.
Yeah. So Jenna, she likes me.
I'm just lost now. Yeah.
You and I both. I both. But no, I think
if you don't want me, that's fine. I won't be offended. It'll just I'll just won't have to put up with these two all the time.
I know, but if you don't want him, next episode will be the unceremoniously firing of him on the episode. So we'll make him, we'll rub it in even more. Like we'll get some knives out, give him a cut, and put some salt in, and just to make it that all more painful.
You might see a different side to me that you don't know. I'm not necessarily always so fun and happy. I might get a little bit mad.
That's right. Yeah.
If they fire me in public. That's
right. And he's promised to wear pants in the future as well if you do keep him on.
Yes. Don't be too mean to me. I'll block you on Instagram.
That's all right. No one does that. No one does that. Anyway, but thank you again for watching. Thanks to Blake for coming on, and hopefully you will be a permanent fixture. But like I said, it's up to the three people that watch us. Grumpy Greenie, as always, it's been something. I won't say a pleasure,
Thank
but
you.
It's been something.
And I will have better video next week. I hope.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to a different nursing home with better internet by the looks of it.
No, different like computer operating system, I think.
Ooh,
just knit yourself a one of those things you put over your light, a diffuser. Yeah, it'll soften the light on your face.
I've been telling Granny to go towards the light.
I thought you were telling me to get a diffuser to put in front of the light, and you're telling me to get a diffuser to put over my face.
Oh, no, they'll put it in front of the light. Yeah,
I did ask Blake to wear a paper bag this episode, but he hasn't followed through with that promise. But
one big enough.
Granny, if you see the light, walk towards the light. Go towards the light.
But anyway,
we'll see you next